going through a series of grand and blissful wedding events, Ling and Orm can finally enjoy their special moments at a more relaxed pace. Japan was their choice to spend their vacation and honeymoon. When their plane landed at Narita Airport, Japan, they immediately felt a different atmosphere that exuded warmth. Even though it was quite cold outside, the morning sun that greeted them seemed to signal that the next 3 days would be full of wonderful memories. Ling and Orm stepped out of the airport with their hands clasped tightly together, as if they didn't want to lose each other for a second. This was their first trip together after officially getting married, a moment they had been waiting to experience together. With a smile that couldn't be hidden, Ling put his arm around Orm's shoulder, inviting his wife to walk towards the main entrance of the airport. "We'll take a taxi to the inn first," Ling said, her eyes implying gentleness and a great sense of responsibility. Orm looked at Ling trustingly. "Yes, fine," he replied with a sweet smile, taking comfort in knowing that Ling had taken care of all the details of this trip meticulously. Their entire itinerary had been neatly organized by Ling, who wanted to make sure every moment of their honeymoon in Japan went smoothly and memorably. Ling then led Orm to the taxi queue. She held Orm's hand tightly, making sure he stayed close to her. When their turn came, Ling opened the taxi door, allowing Orm to enter first. Deftly, she then directed the taxi driver to put their luggage into the trunk, making sure all the belongings were safely stored. Inside the taxi, Orm leaned his head against Ling's shoulder. Through the window, he saw a view of Tokyo that captivated his heart. The hustle and bustle of the big city was peaceful when he was by Ling's side, making him feel that everything around him became more beautiful. Although this was not Ling's first trip to Japan, it was the first time she went with Orm, the person she loved the most. Finally, their taxi pulled up in front of a small villa that looked serene and elegant, with an alluring modern Japanese feel. Ling and Orm got out of the taxi, where Orm immediately stood gazing at the villa with an admiring smile. The villa had a perfect blend of traditional Japanese elements and modern touches, creating a warm and cozy atmosphere. While Orm was mesmerized by the sight, Ling was busy unloading their suitcases from the trunk of the taxi. After the taxi drove away, Ling walked over to Orm and stood by his side. Soon, a middle-aged man with a friendly smile approached them. His face was full of warmth, and his clothes were simple yet neat, indicating that he was the villa's caretaker. "Welcome, Ling and Orm," he said kindly, making the two feel welcome. "Thank you very much," Ling replied with a polite smile. Responding to the man's warm welcome, the man pulled out a key from his pocket and handed it to Ling. "This is the key to the villa," he said as he handed over the key. "If you need any help, I live in the house up ahead." The man pointed to a small house not far from their villa, still within sight and within easy reach. Ling replied by bowing her body slightly as a sign of respect. "Once again, thank you," she said sincerely. The man nodded his head and, with a friendly smile, left Ling and Orm to enjoy the villa in complete privacy. After the man left, Ling turned to face Orm, who was still gazing enthusiastically at the villa. "Shall we go in now?" she asked, her tone full of warmth. Orm nodded eagerly and replied with sparkling eyes, "Yes, I can't wait." Ling smiled at his wife's enthusiasm and gently took Orm's hand. Her right hand grasped Orm's hand tightly, while her left hand casually pulled their two suitcases. with steps full of togetherness. They walked towards the main door of the villa. Ling inserted the key into the hole and turned it slowly. Once the door opened, the two stepped inside the villa, immediately greeted by a warm and cozy atmosphere. The interior was modern and minimalist, but still retained a touch of Japanese culture with tatami and wooden elements dominating the room. Orm took a deep breath, soaking in the fragrance of the villa that seemed to blend with the natural scent of wood. "This place is more beautiful than I imagined," he whispered admiringly, his eyes scanning every corner of the room. As he approached a large window overlooking a small garden with a fish pond and neatly arranged bonsai trees, Ling placed their suitcases in the corner of the room, then walked over to Orm. "I'm glad you like it," she said with a gentle smile, hugging Orm from behind. Ling's hands wrapped gently around Orm's waist, and they were silent for a moment, enjoying the relaxing silence of the villa. Orm turning his face slightly to look at Ling, a soft smile etched on his lips. "You really prepared all this perfectly." "Fie," he said softly, full of gratitude and love. Ling smiled a little, then leaned down to kiss Orm's forehead lovingly. "I deliberately booked a private villa so that no one would disturb our happy moment," Ling replied in a soft voice, making Orm's heart feel warm. "Would you like to tour the villa?" asked Ling, offering Orm a gentle tour. "Of course," Orm replied, a big smile gracing his face, showing genuine enthusiasm. They spent the first few moments in the villa touring every corner of the room, from the spacious bedroom with its soft mattress and warm blankets, to the well-stocked kitchenette with all the necessities. The villa had everything they needed to feel comfortable and relaxed during their honeymoon. After exploring the villa, Ling and Orm sat on the sofa by the large window overlooking the garden. They let themselves get lost in the natural beauty outside, while the soft afternoon sunlight streamed in through the window, bathing the room in a warm glow. After the long journey, Orm's body felt tired and he fell asleep for a while. When he woke up, Orm found the spot next to him empty. Ling wasn't there even though they had slept together earlier. Curiosity and a bit of anxiety set in. Orm got up from the bed, left the room, and walked down the hallway of the villa looking for Ling. "Peeling," called Orm in a soft voice. However, the villa seemed quiet. Only silence answered his call. With cautious steps, Orm descended the stairs to the lower floor. As he reached the main room, relief washed over him when he saw Ling had just entered from outside. "Where's Phi from?" he asked curiously. Ling smiled, holding up the car keys in her hand. "I couldn't sleep, so I went to see the villa caretaker to rent a car. I managed to get it," Ling replied as she swung the keys. Orm sighed with relief as he looked at Ling. "I thought Phi had gone somewhere," he said in a slightly teasing tone. Ling came closer, looking gently at Orm's face, which still looked a little sleepy. "Where would I go? I wouldn't leave my wife like that," Ling said as she lovingly stroked Orm's hair. "Let's go out for lunch and take a walk." "Now," Orm rounded his eyes, a little surprised. "I have to be ready. I've got an ugly face after waking up," he said, holding his own cheeks with an embarrassed expression. Ling smiled gently, looking at Orm with affection. "You're still beautiful even after waking up, dear. I even prefer your natural face like this, without makeup," she complimented, trying to reassure Orm, who often felt insecure about his appearance. "Still, I have to dress up first so as not to embarrass Peeling," Orm replied quickly before he hurried back to his room to get ready, leaving Ling smiling in amusement at his behavior. Ling just chuckled, amused by Orm's adorable panic-stricken demeanor. While waiting for Orm to get ready, she sat on the sofa and played with her phone, occasionally glancing at the room with a warm smile on her face. After a few moments of preparation, Orm finally stepped out of the room, walking gracefully towards the living room, where Ling was sitting casually on the sofa with her cell phone in her hand. Orm stood right in front of her, smiled sweetly, then asked with a hint of curiosity, "How do I look?" Ling, who had been busy with her phone screen, looked up slowly. As soon as her eyes fell on Orm's figure, she froze as if time had stopped for a moment. In front of her, Orm was wearing a short dress with a gold-colored floral print, exuding an alluring charm. The sunlight coming in through the villa's windows highlighted the dress, making the gold color sparkle, complementing Orm's elegance. "Turn it around for a second," Ling said slowly, her voice sounding deep. Orm just smiled, complied with the request, and turned gracefully in front of Ling. The dress swayed gently, adding a sense of elegance to his appearance. Ling couldn't help herself. She closed her cell phone and placed it aside, gazing at Orm in amazement. "Thank you, Lord, for giving me a wife like Orm Kornnaphat," murmured Ling in a grateful tone, his eyes not leaving his wife's figure. He stood up and approached, still mesmerized. "Your appearance is amazing, dear. Every day you're beautiful. But this time you're very, very beautiful," Ling said with sincerity, looking deeply into Orm's eyes, as if to make sure that every word she said was true. Orm blushed, his lips forming a small smile. Ling's compliments always made his heart flutter, even though he sometimes felt amused. But it was as if Ling's every word was a gentle stroke that warmed his heart. Ling extended her hand towards Orm. "Let's go now, princess," she said in a soft voice. Orm welcomed Ling's hand and grasped it tightly. "Let's go." The two of them walked to the car parked in front of the house. Ling opened the car door for Orm first, and after Orm got into the car, Ling ran to the driver's door and got in and drove away. Ling extended her hand towards Orm, looking at him with a gentle, loving gaze. "Let's go now, princess," she said in a warm voice that made Orm's heart feel at ease. Orm smiled, welcoming Ling's hand warmly and grasping it tightly, as if not wanting to let go. "Let's go," he replied in a cheerful tone, his expression full of enthusiasm and happiness radiating from his eyes. The two of them walked together to the car parked in front of the villa. Ling, with great care, opened the door for Orm first. Her gentle movements seemed to ensure Orm's comfort. Orm every step of the way. Orm got into the car with a sweet smile, enjoying the attention from Ling, who always made him feel special. After making sure Orm was seated comfortably, Ling took a small jog around the car to the driver's door. Once he was inside and seated in the driver's seat, he stared at Orm for a moment before starting the engine. The smooth sound of the car's engine soon filled the silence. As Ling drove the car slowly away from the villa, their first destination in Japan began with a visit to the Shibuya district, a bustling area filled with energy. The two of them walked hand in hand, enjoying the hustle and bustle at Shibuya Crossing, watching the sea of people moving in unison every time the light turned green. Orm, with a face full of smiles, grasped Ling's arm tightly and said, "It feels like a dream to be here with you, Peeling. I also feel like it was a dream to bring you here, ... Ling smiled and held Orm closer, knowing that simple moments like this would become part of their memories. After enjoying the atmosphere in Shibuya, they continued their journey to Asakusa to visit Sensoji Temple. Ling and Orm walked hand in hand along Nakami Street, a traditional street lined with souvenir shops and Japanese snacks. For Ling, a true foodie, it's like a little paradise filled with Japanese snacks. From the savory aroma of takoyaki, the sweet fragrance of taiyaki, to the rows of other grilled and fried foods, it's like they're calling out to her. "Wow!" Ling exclaimed in awe, her eyes darting around as if trying to capture every detail of all the food stalls they passed. Orm, who had noticed Ling's enthusiasm, smiled softly. He was used to seeing Ling's beaming face when faced with various food options. "So, which one would I like to try first?" he asked eagerly, his eyes fixed on Ling, who looked like a child in a candy shop. Ling stopped her steps for a moment, her brow furrowed as if in deep thought. "I don't know, I want to try everything," she replied honestly, her eyes still glued to the rows of stalls selling delicious food along the street. Orm laughed softly at Ling's answer, knowing that Ling must be at a loss to choose because everything looked so tempting. Then Orm said as he glanced to the left, "Let's try the left side first. It'll be more organized and you can enjoy them one by one." Ling looked up at Orm, her face lighting up. "Good idea," she replied excitedly, and without a second thought, walked straight to the first stall on the left side of the street. They stopped in front of a stall selling takoyaki, savory balls of octopus topped with bonito flakes and thick sauce. Ling immediately ordered a large portion, and once the takoyaki was ready, she tasted it with a happy face. "This is really good. You should try it," she exclaimed, handing Orm a skewer of the takoyaki. Orm smiled, accepted Ling's offer, and tasted it. "It's really good," Orm muttered after he finished swallowing the takoyaki Ling gave him. Ling couldn't resist stopping at every shop that caught her eye. From one stall to another, they tried various snacks ranging from okonomiyaki, mochi, dorayaki, yakitori to sweet dango. Orm seemed to enjoy Ling's energetic behavior when it came to food. Occasionally, he would laugh at how happy she was when she tried something new. "Fi is such a little kid," Orm said with a gentle smile. Ling looked at Orm with a gentle gaze, her eyes full of gratitude. "We didn't make a mistake choosing Japan as our honeymoon destination," she said softly, warming the atmosphere between them. "We should come back to Japan next time, but with our children," Ling added, her smile wide yet full of genuine hope. Orm blushed at Ling's words. The subject of children always made him feel a little embarrassed, but also happy. "Is Fi really ready to have children?" he asked cautiously, wondering if Ling's wish wasn't just talk. Ling looked at Orm with conviction, without even the slightest hesitation. "Of course," she replied firmly with a smile. "Let's have a baby as soon as possible. I want to start our family right away." Orm chuckled, his smile growing wider. "How many babies does Fi want, then?" he asked, looking at Ling with a loving gaze. Ling nodded slowly, as if considering her answer. "I think one will be enough. I won't give you any hassle. I'll help you take care of our baby," she said firmly, her tone full of confidence that made Orm feel calm and happy.